Hey everyone, welcome to the Internet Capitalist Podcast with Luke Kish, where we talk about mindset, experiences, and frameworks that will help you have fun, get rich, build cool shit, and positively impact the world. I am your host, Luke Kish, and welcome to episode number 3 of the podcast, all about entrepreneurial expectations and how for many those expectations keep them stuck or cause them to quit and never succeed. So this is a good one today. I think the expectations that people have when getting into pretty much anything, to be honest, is improperly set up. I think because the world today shows so much of just end results and shows very little of behind the scenes, or at least it's perceived that way, right? Like what gets the most attention in the world today is the amazing outcomes, often far more than the struggle and far more than the amount of time and effort and often failure behind the thing that then looks amazing. Because of this, I think, for lots of people, our perception and our expectations of how things should be really is quite skewed in a way that is not favorable at all. And that's why so many less people really end up winning. And often these people end up winning with incorrect expectations, but they also have the gene or the personality trait that's just like, don't quit. But I'm going to share with you a little mental reframe here that should allow for everything to just be more smooth in your life. So I'm going to share a personal story here, starting in internet-based business, right? Where you're creating pages, websites, funnels, sales messages, content, whatever it may be. I think whatever business people are starting, right? I think often is entered with the idea that they're going to start something, try something, and it's just going to work. And then when they start something and try something, it doesn't work, that's an indicator that they're not successful. That's an indicator that this thing does not work. When the truth is, that's not the case whatsoever. The way to make something work and the way to gain the understanding of how something works well is by figuring out lots of ways it does not work, right? Thomas Edison, when they said, oh, well, you failed 1,000 times in creating the light bulb, he said, no, I didn't. I found 1,000 ways it did not work. And all he needed to do was find the one way that it did, right? So if you can get your head into that frame where if you just don't quit and you find every way the thing does not work, by default, on the other side of that, you're going to find the way it does. And it's not so black and white, right? Like you'll be doing things that aren't working, and in doing things that aren't working, you'll be becoming conscious of components that do work. And then that extrapolated over time leads you into being a person who understands lots of stuff. Right? So this expectation that like you got to get into something, it's just got to work, is so incorrect. It's much more so like the only way to get it to work is by doing a lot of things that do not work. And then over time, iterating, improving, redirecting, getting a little bit sharper, a little bit closer, a little bit more aware of what you're trying to accomplish. And eventually then accomplishing it. That is a massive mistake start out people make. And it's with everything, right? Fitness, it's with different components, right? Like someone might be good at closing the deals in real estate, but they can't generate any fucking leads. And because they're not good at generating leads, it causes like, discomfort, adversity, they spend a little bit of money, doesn't work. They never really dive in. They just say, oh, I'm not good at marketing. I am not good at generating leads. Now that becomes their belief, and then they're just capped out, right? Like they're just not good at this thing. Like this is just an impossible thing for them. They can't solve this. No, it's, hey, you're good in one area. Because you're good in one area doesn't mean you're just going to start out be good in every area. How'd you get good in one area? By trying, right? And continuing to try and persisting. And then developing the skills that allow you to become good. So, this idea that you're going to get into something and just get it, right? Like when I start things now and when I do things, I don't expect them to work, right? Like I anticipate and I have a belief system that I can make them work, but I do not expect them to work, especially at the beginning. And that expectation gives me a lot of freedom that most people don't have. It's very liberating. It's like, this doesn't have to work right away. I don't expect this to work right away because we're starting something new here, right? This is a new thing. I haven't done this before. If this is a new thing I haven't done before, why the hell should I be entitled enough to just expect it to work? No, I'm expecting it to not work. Right. But optimistically, positively, like I'm not like, oh, I'm never going to win at this thing. I'm never going to achieve success. I have both the belief that it's not going to work right away, most likely, and that's normal. And I certainly will be able to make this work at the same time. I hold both of those beliefs at the same time. So it's not like I'm pessimistic and negative. It's just my expectations are aligned with reality. Like, hey, this might not work. And then what that does is when it does not work, which is inevitable, most people, they reach a place of resistance, right? They're a good real estate agent who can close the deals, but can't do any marketing, right? I'm doing air quotes right now if you're listening to the podcast. Can't do any marketing. When they're in the house with the individual, it's great, but I suck at generating leads. I suck at social media. I suck at this, right? When they suck at it, they feel bad about sucking at it, right? Like it's not only that it's not working, which is just like the objective reality. Okay, so you tried this method to generate leads. You tried this method to do social media. Rather than just saying, oh, I suck at this, it doesn't work. You could say, well, let's inspect what we did here, right? This is a new thing for us. We got to figure this out. What components of this did we like? What did we not like? Where did we find 1, 2, 3, 5% good? What was good about this, right? If we got some phone calls back or we generated some email addresses, can we figure out why we got those calls back? Was it the framing? Was it the headline? Right? If those leads came in and they were not the right leads, but the form that we delivered them on, right? The platform we delivered them on clearly showed that we could get better people. Could we try that platform again and just rework the messaging to see if we can get better leads this time? What about this messaging was bad? Right? So rather than approaching it with like a frame where you're learning and just trying to figure it out, the person who's expecting things to work right off the bat not only usually gives up, right? Number one, because they're like, oh, this should just be working. But then number two, when things aren't working right away, feel bad or feel dumb, right? Like that's the actual part that fucks people up. It's not the, oh, I'm not that good at this yet. It's the something's wrong with me because I'm not good at this yet, right? Like I started a business. It's hard. It's challenging. I can't generate leads yet. It's hard, it's challenging, it's new, it's foreign. Something is wrong with me, right? Like I have a problem now. And then on top of just a really reasonable reality of, you have to face challenges and discomfort and adversity to grow and learn and discover more and become more and have more tools on your belt. There's the emotional baggage that people begin to bring into the situation. Why is this not working? It should be working. And that's where people really get screwed up. So, what expectations are you having? Are your expectations facilitating your growth? Are they working with you, right? Do you get energy from them, or do you get deflated? Do you feel inferior because of the expectations you set? I think if you really try and assess the expectations that you have, often they'll be very unfair, right? Like it's like almost impossible expectations. Hey, I'm going to start a business. It's going to work right away, right? Like I'm going to be making $1 million in my first year, right? Like I have this one idea, this one business that I got to do, and it's got to work. And if it doesn't work, I am never an entrepreneur. That's how most people approach it. I have friends that'll have these ideas. I'm like, dude, who gives a fuck about your idea? It's just an idea. And if this idea does not work, the only person who can call that a problem is you, right? Like most entrepreneurs catch wins, and most people in life catch wins far beyond their first attempt, right? You see, oh, okay, this guy's, got 5 businesses. He's a billionaire. He's a multi-millionaire, or, whatever. He's a professional athlete. You see the greatness and you're like, oh, that's just how that guy is. That's the way humans think, right? We're like, oh, this person's doing this. They must have something I don't. They must, be cut from a different stock than me. They must have, a different fucking Google than me. They must have a different internet than me that's connected to a bunch of shit for them that I can't see, right? They must have a bunch of resources that I don't. When the truth is, this person was just like you at some point with no fucking clue, and then probably failed their ass off more times than you even had like thoughts, right? Like failed and failed and failed and continued and continued and continued, got a little smarter, got a little wiser, learned a little bit more about themselves, sharpened their thinking, sharpened their tools, sharpened their ability to understand, and then got a win, right? And then you see the win. And now, right? It's like, oh, it's like this person's different. No. The only way this person is different is they did not quit. And then they did not, whether consciously or unconsciously, expect or have the false expectation that they were just going to win right off the bat. That this magical, miraculous business idea that they had to work, or else they're just not cut out for it. No. You need to just move, baby. Move your feet. What's the idea? Try it. Did it work? Did it not work? What components worked? What components didn't work? What did you learn? Right? You're either winning or you are learning. So take that frame into anything. I'm golfing a lot right now. Progress in golf is so fucking incremental. It's ridiculous. I went from like 95 to 105 down to like 80 to 90. And the lowest score is 82 so far. But it's so incremental. And I'm doing it so often. And that's the way it is, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I fucking suck. I'm golfing quite a lot. And the progress now is incremental where, I could put in so much time, seemingly it's so much better. And then the result is just like 1 or 2 strokes greater. But that's the way life works, peoples. So accept that, allow yourself that space, right? Allow yourself the reality to have some failures, right? To have some adversity and have to face some adversity, some challenges, and, have the expectations that it's going to be the way it actually is, which is not super easy, right? Like, it's going to be things to figure out. Obviously, there's going to be time to put in. There's going to be mistakes we make along the way. And the more we want, the bigger the mistakes we're going to have to allow ourselves to make, right? The bigger the adversity we're going to allow ourselves to have to challenge, because how do you learn and understand and further your knowledge and get it to a greater point? By facing and tackling bigger problems, right? By having bigger challenges, greater challenges, more challenges, and then working through them. And in the act of working through them, you're able to hold more, right? You're able to have more responsibility. You're able to have more, just everything. You're able to have more because you've faced more. You've had to figure out more. It comes with the territory. You cannot have more without more, right? You can't just, oh, give me just more great everything. Just give me more money, more success, more influence, more power, and give me nothing that I don't want, right? Like, just don't give me any more risk. Don't give me any more responsibility. Don't give me any more stress. Don't give me any more ability to like fuck something up. And when I do fuck it up, now it's far outside of just myself. I fuck shit up for a lot of people, right? Like, I don't want any of that. I just want all the good stuff. Think about that. It doesn't make any sense. So set your expectations correctly and understand that facing the adversity, facing the failures, moving through them is what allows you to grow more, become more, do more. And you can do all of those things. You just need to drop the idea that you need to do and be and have all of those things the first fucking time you try it. And even the 10th time you try it, right? The frame that I bring to it is, how long is this going to take me to figure out? Number one, how open am I to adversity here? How open am I to failure? And then number 2 is, it doesn't fucking matter. However long it takes is how long it takes, right? Like, if I have to roll my hands, through glass for a year to figure this thing out and just make sure I don't bleed out, right? Like, make sure I put the Band-Aids on and give myself time to recover to get to this destination I really want to get to, then that's what I'm going to do. And when you bring that frame to it, you're really hard to stop. Like, it's like, okay, who's going to stop that person? Right? Who's going to get this guy to, like, if someone doesn't quit, if someone doesn't just back down, it's hard. You can't really do anything against that person. They just don't stop. So, hope this podcast helped. Episode number 3, expectations and how setting them incorrectly causes a lot of people to fail. So don't set them incorrectly. Don't put some unrealistic, false, delusional, social media born perception of how you catching a win or being good at something should look. Like, you just try it one time, you spend 1 month, you spend a few weeks, and it doesn't work. That is not the aim. All right. How long does it take? However long does it take? However long it's going to take. You starting something new, expect turbulence, because the turbulence will come. And then when it comes, because you expected it, hey, this is just part of the process. This just comes with the territory. Let's roll with it. This isn't an indicator that I'm a failure. This isn't an indicator that I can't do this. This is the way this works. And I'm not going to let my mind trick me. I'm not going to let my perception work against me. I'm going to control my perception. That's something I have control over. So hope that helped. If it did, subscribe to the Internet Capitalist Podcast. This is Luke Kish. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.